All right, everyone. Hello. Welcome into the Polarr Next live stream for this month of October 2024. Thank you, Jonathan, for getting in there and warming everyone up. How's it going, Brunetti? Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We're super excited to connect with you all again and to be able to give you guys some real-time feedback and to be able to answer any questions. The goal of these workshops is to be able to connect with you guys, to be able to share best editing tips and workflows, because you know that Polarr Next is very different, very unique compared to a lot of the modern workflows and the way we edit and cull. And so to be able to give you guys the ability to hang out with us, edit through some photos, connect with some of our team members, we would love to be able to do that. So if you guys are just joining, we'd love to have you guys check in and let us know where you guys are coming from in the world. I'm over here all the way in the middle of the Pacific Ocean on the island of Maui. I know we got Jonathan all the way on the West Coast, but anyone else, feel free to say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. We'd love to greet you guys. So on today's agenda, we have the honor of bringing on again our CEO, Polarr Wang. So he did come on from, I think it was July. He came on a live stream with us and was able to preview Culling Mode, which was pretty early on, and it was really cool to get that preview. And so today he's going to be coming on and we're going to have a great talk, and he's going to be able to give us some insights more about Polarr Next. And real specifically, we're actually going to be responding to some of the comments that we've been getting from much of the YouTube videos that we've been getting out there. Your guys' feedback, your comments has been really important to us. And so I've been able to there's a lot of comments out there, so I really had to rein it in and grab a couple so that Polarr can respond to them. So I believe, Polarr, maybe thumbs up if you're ready. I can go ahead and bring you on and then we can get started. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. How's it going, Polarr?
Doing pretty good. Glad to be on the show and talk to some real customers.
Heck yeah. So for you guys who are in the chat, feel free, if you have any questions that you have for Polarr, have for us, put them in the chat. Jonathan is going to be moderating that as well. But we do have some comments that we're going to go through. I've got my list here. And so before we jump into these, Polarr, how do you feel about just responding to the raw negative stuff, the positive? Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, since we started building the project last May. So, around 1.5 years ago. It's the same, we like to hear all feedback, whether it's negative or positive. It's all good feedback. Yeah.
And so today's feedback specifically comes from the YouTube videos that we've been collabing with different influencers, and this has given us the opportunity to respond, with things like pricing changes and stuff we'll discuss a little bit later. So, all right. So I've sent Polarr the doc with the questions, but I'm also going to be pulling them up on the stream. So for those who are watching and you may not catch what the question is, you can read it. So let's start with this first one, and we're just going to jump right into this. So question number one, or sorry, I shouldn't say question, comment number one. This comment was one of the most popular comments on Tom Carlton's YouTube video, and it was just very bluntly, subscription, no thanks. And then they kind of went in deeper. No thanks. My current issues with Adobe is that they only offer subscriptions and that they're forcing unscrupulous user agreement in order to train their AI of the pro user skill. So if a company really wants to take customers away from Adobe, I believe it's those areas they should focus on. So for Polarr, can you explain the value of Polarr Next subscription and particularly how it just supports continuous updates, improvements, and benefits for users?
Yeah, so the goal for any product service is really trying to provide value at the cheapest and most affordable possible pricing to customers, and this is something that we've been working on. Before we started the project, we saw Adobe has a subscription, which is $10 to $20 depending on what software you're using, Photoshop or Photoshop plus Lightroom per month. And then if you use calling software, you have calling apps that's charged $10, $20, $30 per month. And then if you want to use a AI processing software on top of it, then you're talking about another 10, 20, sometimes up to 50 and 70 out there, I think. So it's really, the cost adds up a lot, right? To fully have a calling automation, editing automation, and editing tool, we're talking about north of $100 per month. So our thought is two, right? Number one is, if we're doing subscription, how do we make everything into one experience that's already cheaper? And I think subscription, the reason people do subscription, company do it because there's ongoing costs to service the customers. There's ongoing updates to continue pushing releases and patches. So there's just saving the styles, account, manage all the AI training, right? So that's really the consideration is we want to still make it much cheaper, and then at this time our price is $30, unlimited usage for everything. I think it's already very competitive. But then we also hear, we totally understand, the usage-based model sometimes just don't make sense, right? Yeah, sure, the app is updating. We've been pushing a pretty major feature every month, but if I don't have any wedding this month, I don't get to use it. Why should I pay for it, right? And then this constant, having to turn a subscription off and on, the Netflix, it could be, it's very difficult to manage that. So we have also alternative, which is this purely outcome-based pricing. You don't need to pay the subscription if you prefer your lower volume or your volume fluctuate over the months. You can pay the pay-as-you-go, and this is also something that we thought very hard about. It's on the pay-as-you-go plan, the philosophy is we don't charge any money if the outcome is not satisfactory, right? It's not like many other software you're being charged on the usage, right? Regardless of whether the output is good or not, you still pay when the AI is processing. But for our pay-as-you-go plan, it's purely based on exports. If you don't export, the app is free. We only feel like we deserve that money if you find the results is something that you want. So I think that's sort of a plan that's more reasonable for those who have less volume, and I think it's very fair. That we provide a service and you like the outcome, and we only charge you based on that. But if you have higher volume, I don't think you can find a better price out there in the market with the calling AI and editing. So and that price point for subscription, I think is already extremely competitive.
That's really good, and kind of like what I said before, responding to these comments allowed us to kind of change up our pricing model and everything. So evaluating the landscape of what's out there, AI culling subscriptions, AI editing subscriptions, and then on top of that, paying for the program itself. It makes a lot of sense when you wrap it up like that in just one package, $30 a month, or if you do the yearly. And then the pay-as-you-go option, I don't feel like I've been able to share and talk about that as much, but I think that's a very strong option out there for people who don't like subscriptions and don't have the constant high volume photos that they need to constantly edit and export and stuff. So I do see in the comments, of course, some more comments about not being a fan of subscriptions and wanting that lifetime license or whatnot, but it makes sense. And the thing with Topaz Labs, I do have a lifetime license to that, but I haven't updated it in 2 years, and they just upped the price of the upgrade pricing of that. So I think there's some trade-offs here.
Let me just add a few more points, right? for companies like Polarr, when we think about charging money, both the subscription and the pay-as-you-go are very effective in supporting our operations, right? This is kind of the reason that motivates me. We want to keep those people subscribing, so we want to continue to build improvements and features. I remember when we launched the 1.0 beta, we didn't have any calling. We didn't have any. We didn't even have masking tools or AI masking and healing and any of that, right? So when people pay, and then the relationship between the customer and the company is, when people pay subscription, they're really supporting the company's operation, but while the company also realizes we want to keep people, so we're gonna keep adding and improving more features. And even after we launched 2.0 beta, I think within a month, we added AI scores and keeper suggestions, which people didn't have. So it's very fast follow. So from that lens, if a company just charge a one-time price, it will be difficult to motivate the team and the company to continue to deliver updates. And then the software, just like what Aaron said, is very likely to be stale. Or at some point when there's a new improvement, they're gonna say, okay, we have a new version. To get the new features, you have to pay extra, right? Which happens a lot. So for us, we want to make it simple, and then so we think that so far, all the pricing model out there for a fast-moving project, a product like Polarr Next, subscription still makes the most sense.
All right, so let's go ahead and go on to the next comment here. So this one is quite long, but I kind of condensed it down for those who are on stream. So let me just pull that up here. All right, so this comment says, I don't know if I'm a bit late to the party, but this all seems a bit weird. I really dislike the overuse of the phrase AI in everything, especially when it's not. What this program is doing, adjusting exposure, color correction, looks like a lot of advanced histogram matching. Even the rectification of images, rotational alignment can be done algorithmically, and should be. Using AI for things like this is unnecessary, a bit of overkill, and just a label to oversell your product. In my opinion, I'm sure there could be some machine learning features in there that could have a place, but even then, it is blatantly overpriced. So just hitting up, AI, can you clarify the role of AI in Polarr Next? And do you agree that the term AI is sometimes overused in marketing? And does this apply to Polarr Next?
Yeah, I'll just start off saying that I 100% agree. It's not even sometimes, it's all the time. It has been overused in marketing everywhere. And this is something that, me and my partner, our co-founder, and then we spent a lot of debating. The original view with us is we actually didn't want to use the AI term at all. It's such an ambiguous term. It means something different for everybody. It's like the word love, right? For some people it's like ASI or AGI. For other people it's just some sort of simple algorithm, simple math that appear to be intelligent, right? So everybody have a different meaning. And then I think Apple is probably the company that sort of refrained from using the word AI for the longest. So the original landing page and everything, we actually didn't use any AI. We're just saying this is machine intelligence, machine learning, and then trying to downplay it so we don't confuse people. But during the initial phase of go-to-market messaging, we discovered that if you don't use the word AI, a lot of customers actually just don't think the software is smart enough. So it's a fine balance of you have to use a certain word that's already in the lingo of our society where it means something, but you don't want to overuse it. And then we're sort of trying to strike that fine balance of not AI in front of the face, but then for those who don't know deep enough about AI, what's the work, the underlying work, inside AI, we still want to make people aware that there's artificial intelligence elements in it, right? And with that being said, if you actually go to our landing page versus our competitor's landing page, we don't have AI out there at the first screen. The Polarr Next website has calling and editing simplified. This is the outcome-driven thing. We only bury the word AI in a small subtext there. So this is something where we want to make people when they look at our landing page or product, they're focusing on the outcome, which is simplified delivery and consistent edits. But the AI is the technique that support its outcome, and that's sort of like more varied. Yeah, so that's like the first part, which is kind of the use of the term AI. The second part, which is the actual utilization of AI, yeah, definitely. You know, like maybe AI today is more about large language models, but then you know, a few years ago, like if you're doing masking, face detection, these are all neural network trained to detect faces, to masking out backgrounds. All these elements are all here inside Polarr Next. And then, you know, the marker reference learning, that's a very specific system we designed, and there's a lot of intelligence built in. So I don't think, you know, AI applications in today's age, there's a singular, you know, AI module. It's typically a combination of, you know, this traditional computer vision based AI, reinforcement learning based AI, you know, you're teaching something, and diffusion based AI, right? Like, you know, you're doing erasing of a patch, and language model based AI, right? At some point you can directly interact with your software. And then these are just different variants and different flavors of AI. I think it's all going to be putting into products and services. And I can see why that's very confusing, right? Like then, you know, it's like, what do you mean by AI? But, you know, just realizing that there's subdomains of AI, and then there's, you know, they're being used at a different level, right? Sometimes like we also need to balance the speed of the software and the actual performance. So we can't just put the best AI model out there. We have to have like a smaller, faster model, right? That's why like even inside one subdomain, like you're using ChatGPT, there's like this 1.0 preview, 4, 4.0, 3, 3.5, like all these kind of models, right? So it can quickly become pretty difficult to understand.
That was really good. Thank you for answering that question. And I know AI is definitely something that it still feels very, very infant. Like we're still in like the infancy levels of it, especially with like photography. You know, my experience as a photographer, seeing AI culling come on the scene and seeing AI editing, it's really getting stronger. I feel the amount of photographers using AI and it becoming more commonplace, but it still feels very infant in a way where it's like we're just getting started. It's kind of crazy how like if this is like the worst it's gonna be, like I just can't imagine where it's gonna be, you know, a year from now, and just how drastic that change is gonna be. So this next question kind of continues on with the AI thread. Just kind of very simply, they want to know, does anyone know factually if this uses images to train its AI? So, you know, some users are concerned about whether their images are being used to train AI without their consent. Can Polarr Next clarify their stance on user privacy and how it ensures images aren't being used without permission?
I mean, my you know, our stance on privacy is always like you tell the customer exactly what you're gonna do, and then you use the content they provided only to the extent that benefit them. You know, if you think about privacy, right? Like, you know, when we use Google Map, you have to disclose your location to it. In exchange, you know, it helps you navigate, right? Like customers or you know, we only provide, you know, we go to the bank, we have to disclose our address, and you know, but we're trusting them that, you know, with all the information, they're gonna, you know, help us you know, manage our financials, and you know, our cash is safe, right? So there's obviously exchange of, you know, users provide privacy, and the companies need to use what's given and provide the services. And then for us, it's the same, is because we are going to learn how you edit your photos, and your photos are being used to train your personal AI styles. But the AI style belongs to you. It doesn't belong to anybody. There's nobody who have visibility to it or have access to it. And it's only to the extent of benefiting, you know, the people who train the AI. And this AI style can be deleted. It's actually a physical file on each, you know, inside the project folder. If you delete it, it's gone. You know, like you can actually manage, you know, the AI's previous memory. And once you delete it, have no memory whatsoever, whatever happened to that AI style. So our stance is really, just providing that transparency and then making very clear what we're doing. And then some companies will go to the far end of open sourcing at some point, like, maybe like how their AI, maybe some of the code. So people can even check and verify that this is actually happening. It could be something we consider doing down the line once our team is more scaled up. So, I know like we can say all the things we're doing, but like to actually verify that you're not using the images elsewhere, then the best way is to verify and look at the code, right? And it's also just this like, there's really no benefits for companies to use private information outside the scope of their services. There's just so much liabilities, and it also doesn't generate any actual benefit. So for us, all these are elements that really ensures that we don't have incentive to use these photos without permission. And then we are, allocating our resources to make sure, like, any ounce of data that's provided by our customer, we use it we make the most use of it, and to create AI styles that actually works.
Yeah, and this is exactly why we do these type of live streams, to be able to answer you guys' questions, because I feel like, as I said prior, AI being in its infancy, and like the photography world, trying to get hundreds of thousands of people to like learn AI and like what our program does, it's not gonna be the same exact the way that like Meta does, or like Apple or whatever. And so we have like different processes with this, and to be able to train and teach you guys about like how to manage your AI styles, how to delete them if you don't want them anymore, deleting your browser cache, and like what that all affects your AI styles and the things you've trained. And then if I can tack on just like one more question to kind of pull more on this. So users, when they train the AI model, that's specifically in relation to the physical file on their hard drive. Is there any type of training in Polarr Next backend, like in general, to like how to edit or whatever? And like those files aren't user files, right? Those are files that like Polarr Next has training on its own.
Yeah, I mean, the backend and like the way we look at compute resources, right? It's just like when the front end do not have sufficient resources, we'll have to shift it to the backend, right? But just think about like a computer that's sitting in your desk or somewhere else. But regardless, when we actually train it, we don't look at the raw pixels. Like the machines, when they look at these images, they typically extract what we call features. And these features are matrices that the machine deems to be important. Like, back in the old days, right, humans actually pick these features, right? Like exposure level, how many pixels are red, how many pixels are green or white, right? So histogram and things like that. These days, when we train the AI, we will first convert these images into a very high dimensional set of features. And these features are oftentimes not even recognizable by human. It just doesn't make any sense. But for the AI algorithms, it will make sense for it to come up with, recognize certain patterns. And then these features can be stored and transferred, from your local computer to the cloud for training purposes in the future. But it still shielded the customer's original like bitmap images away, and nobody can really tell what these pictures are. And just in defense of kind of Meta and Google, I mean, these data is when I'm pretty sure, like, they have to do the same thing to be in compliance with all the new rules. Where very similarly, like, when they're training using your data, there's absolutely no way to reverse it back to identifiable information. That's sort of my beliefs are. But of course, right, like, ultimately, the jury is really like, do we have a data breach that makes an impact customers? And I think the chance for us is near zero, precisely because we don't really store any actual user photos in our backend.
Awesome, good. So I appreciate all your answers and feedback so far from these last 3 questions. And there's definitely more comments we could probably dive deep on, maybe another live stream. But we're gonna move into the last two comments, and these ones are more lighthearted. These are more positive comments that feedback that we got, and would love to hear your thoughts on them. So this one says, this user says, looks promising. Trying right now with 1,000 photos from a wedding, way faster than Lightroom. I would love it if it had an auto skin recognition also, but I can live without it. So hearing feedback that Polarr Next is faster than Lightroom seems to be quite common. Does it ever get old to you? And then as far as like a missing feature, how does Polarr Next prioritize new features like this based on user feedback?
I wouldn't say it's getting old or getting new. It's just as expected. Like, you know, when we developed the infrastructure behind Polarr Next, we knew it's going to be faster, and then it is faster. So it's like it's meet expectation, and then we move on. So when we see this comments, we're like, of course, right? This is by design. Yeah, and then when it comes to feature prioritization, I would say it's ultimately, you know, we don't want to ship features so fast, so the quality is not great, right? Like, we're actually aware of a lot of issues. Like, you know, there are still people who don't quite understand mark references, and then when they mark references, there's a feedback of lacking control, right? Like, some people be like, hey, like, why is this photo updated, not that? I want to have more control. So for us, when we look at features, we track metrics with, like, you know, how many photos exported is actually AI, fully AI, like humans do not have to get involved. For calling, you know, what is the accuracy, right? Like, you know, what percentage of photos that we recommend as keywords actually get kept. I think right now that's like around 70%. And then for AI, I think it's around like 60%. Basically 60% of photos are exported without human intervention. So before we even get into, you know, new features, we have to ask ourselves, is the existing feature still have a lot of room of improvement and, you know, polishing and then iteration? Or, you know, people are not using the product because we're missing a brand new feature like skin recognition, right? So internally, we basically look at these and then we prioritize them. And then we have a repository of every single customer feedback that ever landed in any channel, like could be an email, could be a live stream, could be YouTube, and we triage them, you know, continuously to prioritize.
Awesome. And man, just through the months that I've been involved with, I can definitely say that, you know, user feedback is critical. We've implemented a ton of new features and added new features based on, you know, user feedback. One of my favorites is the black and white, being able to mark all the photos and references in black and white, and then the AI will apply those edits, those black and white edits to the entire project for those who shoot like boudoir or want those like black and white. So pretty unique, pretty awesome, and we keep that feedback coming. All right, this last comment here says this: I'm glad a company is finally implementing machine learning in a way that makes sense. Kudos to them for that. So can you elaborate, and we might have touched on this before, but can you elaborate on how machine learning is integrated into Polarr Next and just what specific problems it aims to solve for photographers specifically?
I think machine learning is, again, it's the terminology. It's the umbrella term, right? It's like everything is machine learning. Like you can say LLM is machine learning. It's like saying that do you use molecules? You know, like if you're a chef, you know, you're cooking something. If you ask the chef, like, you know, is this dish made of molecules? Although, like, you know, people typically don't say that, like it's made of like spice and meat and proteins. But yeah, like machine learning is really sort of the foundation. It literally just means like you're giving some sort of entropy and then pattern to the machine and gets to learn. And there's also a different technique, like, you know, reinforcement learning, you know, recurrent networks and RNN, CNN, and now large language models and diffusions. These are all machine learning techniques. But I'm thinking that this person's comment, what's interesting is the machine learning that makes sense. It depends on kind of the familiarity with like sense making. I feel like a lot of time you can have like a machine learning algorithm and it's such a or AI algorithm that's such a black box, and the output that's generating all of it sometimes just makes no sense. And I think that's probably what's being referred to here. I think in Polarr Next there is a sense of when you see a new data point, you can see how when you add a new data point, you can see how it actually influences the machine learning algorithm. I think that's or influence AI. I think that's where the making sense part is. And then we definitely want to lean more into that, right? I know like there are companies, you just submit like a bunch of images and then something just gets generated. You don't quite know how. And then, when you try and add more data, you're like, how did that exactly make it better? Like how much did it make it better? It just learns later. But the nature for us being like Polarr Next very iterative in real time, I think it exposes the sort of iteration and how the AI works. And I will even say like we will go more into the direction. We want to let people even see and understand more how the AI actually works behind the scene. And this is something that's already on the roadmap where we're thinking about like, every time you're adding a data point, we actually want to show you like how did that actually, if you're curious, you don't have to, but if you're curious, you have the ability to see how exactly it's leveraging the information and how is it like cascading to other photos, and then you can actually stop it or you want to control it in a different way.
I love that. And to kind of tack onto this, what specific problems it aims to solve for photographers. I feel like if you went back like maybe 10-15 years ago when we're still in the era of like DSLRs, the need for programs to edit large batches of photos didn't seem like that needed. We were just content with just editing and maybe using some batch sync and stuff like that. But I feel like these cameras being mirrorless, the higher frame rates, the larger raw files, like being able to edit in large volumes like this now, it almost seems like cameras and photographers kind of created these problems for ourselves where it's like we've got these better, faster tools, but now our software is like kind of too old or dated, and now we need better, faster software that can handle like these problems that we're encountering. So I love that we can do these live streams to hear from you, Bore, and your vision for like how can we help photographers understand, not like you said, not just to throw our images into something and then just to get it spit out back to us edited. Like I think there's a lot of photographers out there who want to learn and know like, okay, what is the AI doing here? If I mark this data point as a reference, what's the AI gonna do from here and how's it gonna affect my photos? So being able to hear that, it's on the roadmap, and something that Polarr Next wants to do for this community is really awesome. So that was the last comment here. Is there anything else that you would like to share, Bore, or talk about or comment on?
Yeah, I'll just add to the kind of a closing thought on what you mentioned on the photographers taking more photos and shutters are getting faster and files getting bigger, and it's almost like this is a problem being created. I wouldn't say like it's like somehow these manufacturers, camera brands just have some sort of conspiracy. They're creating problems. I would say it's just reality. It's very high bandwidth. I don't know if you guys like have used like a DJI drone. Like you're so excited, take a bunch of footages, or you have a GoPro. And do you actually have time to process and edit? Most people don't. Like they just, it's for hobby, for personal and family use. Is when you give people the tools to capture reality, they will do it. And because we want to get close, we want to remember the reality in the highest fidelity possible. And then in that case, I mean, like, our eyes can, the bandwidth of our eyes is insane. Like the color depth, the dynamic range and everything. So when new tools are become available, people will embrace it. And up to the point where we can actually record reality as precisely as how we perceived it, right? So I think that's not a problem invented. It's just like a human nature. And but with new tools, like batch editing AI, I think it would just make it easier for people to start generating meaningful like snippets, right? Like photos and stylized photos, all of it. and it will only help and complement this like hardware progress. You know, without the software there, then you know, even if you have all these equipments, you wouldn't be able to meaningfully you know, edit and perform any sort of you know, output out of it, right? So I think that's sort of the way we look at it. Is we think the future is going to be on the hardware side, is continue going to get higher output, and then, you know, higher bit rates and higher fidelity. It's going to continue to get closer to how our humans experience the world, and the software, it has to catch up, and it has to match that speed.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Polarr, for joining us here today for this morning. Well, morning for me, kind of early afternoon for you. Everyone else in the chat that might have any follow-up questions or anything, please answer, or, you know, put it in the chat, and then you can always email us and we'll get back to you as soon as you can. But Polarr, thank you so much. This is where we part, and hopefully we can get you on again in the future.
All right, great. Thanks, Aaron.
All right, no problem. Let's go ahead. Awesome. It's been a blast. There was so much information, so much gosh, that like we could literally have just taken one comment and just like sat on it and like kept going deeper and deeper into it. So for those 5 comments that we've been able to dive deep on and hear from you guys, you know, we want to hear your feedback. We've got all these videos out there in collaboration with different YouTubers out there, so we love to see what you guys think about our product, and if there's areas where we can improve and we're not hitting the mark, we would love to know where that is. And so Brunetti, thank you so much for being here as well. When are we doing the live photo editing? So we're about to jump into some live editing right now. I do have some of the images that you sent in, Brunetti, and then also we're also gonna check out a new feature that Polarr Next has also introduced from September's live stream to today. You might have seen it, you probably got an email about it, but Polarr Next Keepers in Culling Mode is a new feature that we introduced not too long ago. And so I'm going to show that, and then we're also going to get onto your sheep photos. All right, Brunetti? So, and if there's anyone in here in the chat you would love to have like your photos edited live or taken a look at here on the live stream and shared, we do send out an RSVP form every month leading up to the live stream. Jonathan will get that sent out, and then you're able to RSVP for the live stream and then submit any questions you might have, so maybe we can take a look at it beforehand, and then any images that you'd want to get edited or you know, checked out, then you can do that. So yeah, sheep is definitely my forte, let me just say that. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch my screen here, and I'm gonna make sure that my screen is all set. There we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, so I've got Polarr Next open right now. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. It's an old photo, so it's low quality. No worries. Okay, so before we get to the sheeps, Brunetti, I do want to show off our new keepers mode. All right, so when you import a project into Polarr Next, you'll be asked a question like whether you want to do culling or do you want to edit. And so we're going to start with culling, and we're going to continue to cull. And so right now what Polarr Next is going to do is it's starting to analyze. You can see down here, it's starting to analyze the metadata. And if you click on the sorting options, well, usually what happens when you see that the Polarr Next program is analyzing the grouping, you'll see like a percentage here, but it's already done. So grouping has already been analyzed. Let me zoom out here. Or actually, sorry, grouping is here, 36%. So it's still being analyzed right now. And you don't have to wait for it to finish analyzing. We can already hit capture, sort by capture time or by modified, or however you want to do that. But we do have this keepers mode right here, and it's showing 40%, 46% has been analyzed for keepers. So basically what keepers are is our AI telling you what it thinks is maybe one of your strongest photos to edit. And this is largely analyzed by this score here. And we've had this big tag here saying experimental. So we are still working on the AI's ability to analyze your photos and rank, you know, which photos are your strongest, which ones it thinks these ones are good to edit. There are other culling programs out there that will suggest photos to you and then tag them with like a green filter or star them. With Polarr Next, what we do is we just, like how we do with edits when it suggests photos, basically these are like suggestions, but we call them keepers, and we don't apply any type of filter or star rating, color rating to them. We leave that up to the user, and it's pretty easy. Like if you want, like we can ungroup them, and then we'll click this keepers mode and say like you do just want to edit all of the keeper photos. Like I could easily just go from the beginning, go all the way to the end of the timeline, hold shift and click, and now I've got all these images, 137 selected, and I could just add a green filter to them all, and they're all filtered. But I like that we just give these green thumbs up because we give the user the ability to decide whether or not they want to edit them, especially like when you're going through, you know, I don't have to unmark anything. What I have to do is mark the ones I want to edit, but I can just easily filter by the keepers. And just looking at what it's done and analyzed, it's already finished, by the way. This is already giving a good selection from the day. If I take off the filters keeper or keepers filter, you can see that there's a lot of duplicates and multiples of these that I really didn't need. And so when I turn it on, you can still get a good rounded selection of images to edit. What's really great is that right now it's set to 155. Let's say like I just got done shooting this engagement session and I want to get like 10 images out ASAP. I want to get them out as a sneak peek. I can always go to this count number here. I can use the slider to increase the number of images I want to see as a keeper, or I could decrease it, or you can just type in, I want to see just 12 suggested images here. We hit enter. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me move my face real quick. Thank you, Jonathan. There we go. Okay, let me redo that. All right, so if I want to give the AI a number of images I'm looking to see, so we were at 155. You can see right above my head, there's that slider. And so we can move that, increase it, which would increase the number of keepers, or we can decrease it, or give it a specific number. So say like, let's give it like 13. So now it's giving us 13 images. And so we can see the 13 here. There we go. And so this is giving us a good rounded view. We've got all the way at the end, like this is one of the last shots in the series I did. And then we did the ceremony here, get the mother getting laid. And then we've got the ceremony, the first look. And so if we want to increase that, maybe we want 20 sneak peek photos, we'll increase it to 20. So this feature I've been growing to love. This is something I haven't really experienced with other culling applications and softwares that I've used before in my wedding photography. And I'm really growing to love the ability to just tell the AI how many photos I really want to do. And again, if I see that there's some photos that aren't in here that I like, I can just unclick this keepers filter and I can go in real quick and I can see the ones that it probably missed, and then I can just add the green filter to those. So let's go ahead and let's just say 20, and let's select them all, apply that green filter. There we go. And now we can go edit, and you can see, bam, there's the 20 images, and we can go edit them. and we'll use a Polarr pre-trained style. We'll use terrain. And now Polarr Next is off to the races, editing all the images just like that. There we go. And so if you want, you can easily go back to culling mode. You just have to click this culling button right here, and we can go right back. What's great is that we ask you this question because the images that you don't select are automatically hidden. They're not deleted. They're not moved to any other folder. If I'm in editing mode right here and say like I know there's an image right after this that I shot that I really want to edit, I can just click this hidden eye icon and bring up all the images I didn't select. And so say like I really wanted the shot of the groom kissing the bride on the cheek, or this like fun moment. I can just add the green filter there by pressing the 8 key, and then I could right click and then select unhide, and it's gonna bring this image to the visible timeline. And once I unclick this hidden timeline, now you can see there it is. And Polarr Next has already edited it without me having to tell it to. It already knows. Let's do another one. Let's go all the way back here. And let's see here. We're going all the way back. Maybe this one, because the bride, I told the bride to like grab her dress and move it side to side. And perhaps this isn't quite the image I wanted. So let me like take out the green filter and let's hide it. So now it's hidden from the timeline. We can go in to the hidden images and let's go find where this was. There it was. Now it's hidden. And say I would rather just have this image where the bride is standing. So again, what I'll do is give it a green filter and then I will unhide it. And now it's been edited automatically just like that. And then of course, as you know, adjust your images, press M or mark it as a reference to update similar images and all that good stuff. So if I want to go back to culling mode, I can. If I want to restore all the hidden images and do another pass through the whole album, I certainly can. Or if I just want to refine that selection, I can just press cancel. And now I'm only looking at the 20 images that I've marked green, or yeah, 20 images. And I can further refine this. So like, let's take them out of groups here. And now I can just see the entire visible film strip expanded, and say like, I just want to refine it down even more. Like, okay, maybe I don't want that one. Let's see, maybe I don't want this one. Let's take this one out and maybe take that one out. So now our greens are down to 17 and we can go back to editing photos. And now we're just going back to edit these 17. So this is such a good and easy way to be able to go back and forth between editing mode, culling mode, refine your selection. I remember when I used to not cull my photos before I edited them. And as a wedding photographer, that was tough because I'm sorting through like 4,000 images and I'm like cherry picking the ones I want to edit. And that was like my old habit and way of doing things. Being able to cull your photos beforehand will save you so much time. Being able to get your selection boiled down to a group of images, say like you have a 4,000 image wedding, being able to bring it down to like 800 images is so much more manageable, and it'll help you edit and deliver your clients' deliverables much faster than not culling and just jumping in and stuff. So you don't have to be a wedding photographer to take advantage of culling mode. You can certainly be a hobbyist, you know, if you go out and go shoot a sunset or go out into the countryside like Brunetti and take some sheep photos. All right. And so I know he only sent me 2 images, but we're just going to throw it into culling mode just for fun. All right. So here we go. We've got these 2 images taken from Brunetti out there in Spain. And as you can see, the AI has selected 1 keeper. All right, so we've got this one and we've got this one. And I gotta say, the AI, like, I kind of agree. I like this image much better than this one. The reason being because we have 2 really strong subjects in this nice composition. Whereas this one, although there are more sheep, the subject is a little bit less defined, and your subject, perhaps it could be this sheep that's the best focused. This sheep is competing with all these other ones here, and it is great to see all these others. But if you are looking to edit an image and maybe put it into like a photo competition or something like that, I would probably side, and lean to this one. This one has a much stronger story, composition, subject to it versus this one, even though I appreciate all the sheeps. So Brunetti clarifies this is from Ireland. Okay, so these are Irish sheep. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna edit the one that the AI suggested, the keeper. It's funny because we're getting a overall score here on the focus and the lighting, which is great. Again, with this new keepers mode update, not only did we give you the ability to see keepers, but we've added this overall score. So it's not just doing face focusing, but also it takes into account the lighting. So good job, Brunetti. It's out of 5, so 3.8 out of 5. Good job. So what we'll do is, if this is the one I want to edit, I'll just mark it as green, and we'll go edit photos, and I'll select the green. And then let's go to manual. I would like these ones, I would like to edit manually. I don't really need like automation on it. Again, really cool. So like, say I do want that photo with all the 4 sheep, I could just go down here, click that hidden eye icon, and there it is. Non-destructive, it's right there with you, but we just like to clean up your film strip to make you focus on this one. All right, and so I can even bring this film strip down. If you guys haven't noticed, we do have the ability to hide your film strip now, and you just kind of hover over that bottom portion of the window, and you'll see this tab pop up, and you can close it up and down. Let's go ahead and close it for this one because I don't have any other images I need to edit it in comparison to. And so let's go ahead, and you know what? I've never tried out the subject masking on anything besides humans. So let's see if this subject mask can nail the sheep. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness, look at that. The subject mask was successful in identifying who the subject was, which was these 2 sheep. It wasn't just 1 sheep. We got 2 sheep here selected. So what we could do here, if you want, you can always invert this mask. So now that we have a background, or we press A, and now we do have a specific background mask here. So what we could do here is maybe like just edit the background a little bit. Let's see here. How do I want to edit this? Maybe give it a little bit more true to life look, not be too drastic with the edits here. Yeah, I gotta say the auto maskings is lit. Almost all the scenarios I've used it on, yeah, they're pretty good, pretty great, and it's really fast, I gotta say. All right, so let's go to the sheep mask here. Let's see, how do I want to edit these guys? These are some beautiful sheep. All right, nothing too crazy on the edit here. I don't think you need to do much. If I hold the backslash button and I hold it down, I can see before, and there's after. Before, after. Let's see, maybe cool it off just a little bit in the white balance. That's good. And then yeah, this is great. And Brunetti, I like the way that you shot this, kind of low to the ground. You got like this foreground blur, which is really nice. Kind of gives you that that like perspective of like focusing in on zooming in on your subject. What I'm gonna do here too is add a little radio gradient. This is something I learned from a friend, you know, to be able to focus your attention on your subject. So I'm assuming that the lighting source, it looks like it's coming from the right. And so like if I imagine this radio gradient being like the sunbeam, so going from right to left, I can like drag this here, and you can see this red is where the mask is affecting. Now I can drop the exposure slightly until it gets to a point, because I don't want it looking very drastic like this. I want it to be a subtle guide for our eyes, because We want to focus in on the sheep. I don't really need to see the blurry grass in the foreground. You know what I mean? I don't really need to see these corners. So doing this helps you to kind of like focus in on your subject. So now if I hold the before and after, here's before, there's after. Tell me that this radio filter does not help you focus in on these sheep. Brunetti, I think I am done with this image here. Maybe I'll bring up that exposure there or something like that, but I think that looks pretty nice. I think that's like a good pleasing look there. We punched up the colors, we got them separated in masks, added that radio gradient. Now we've got a good sheep photo here. So real quick, I am curious, I want to check out this other image here, and let's unhide it, bring it to the visible timeline, bring it down. I want to see, will Polarr Next be able to select all 4 sheep here? Let's go and hit that subject mask. And I get some hypes in the chat. That's awesome. All right. Like I said, I've never like used subject masking for anything other than people and humans. So it's like kind of funny to like see it do this here. So you got Jonathan hyped 60%. I don't know if it caught your command there, Brunetti, but yeah, so very, very awesome. Guys, I think that's it for us today on Polarr Next October live stream. Happy Halloween, by the way. For those of us who are in America next week, we got Halloween rolling around. My kids are super excited, got their costumes ready. But I'm excited about all the new things that Polarr Next has got in the works. Borre had mentioned, you know, the roadmap that we're working on as far as new features, new updates. We just rolled out keepers. So please jump into Polarr Next if you haven't created a new account with us by signing in with your Gmail account. Please do that. We'll give you 2,000 free export credits. It does have a 30-day trial, so make sure you use those export credits within the 30 days so you don't miss out on that. But like we said, Polarr Next is absolutely free to jump into. So the way that you get into Polarr Next is literally just going to next.polarr.com. Go to our website. You can click this launch web app button, or sorry, let me zoom out here. There's a little download option here, and you can click download, and we're going to give you the ability to download Polarr Next as a actual desktop app. So you don't need to use Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge anymore to access Polarr Next. You can just download the dedicated desktop application to be able to use Polarr Next, or use the web app. And so when you click that, you'll be prompted to sign in with your Gmail or whatever email, however you want to sign up. Give you those 2,000 free export credits. And then if you do want to subscribe, you have the ability to go into your account, manage your subscription, and you can either pay as you go. Say, you just like taking pictures of Irish sheep every now and then, and you don't need a monthly unlimited subscription for unlimited sheep photos, then pay as you go is the way to go. And you can purchase export credits in different bulks, and then those will be there for you indefinitely. And then you can always fill up on more when you need to buy more, or you can subscribe to our unlimited exports when you do need those high volume unlimited exports. Something like me, where I'm constantly churning out thousands of images per month for weddings. This is definitely good value. And then our cheapest right here, $20 a month, basically per year, for unlimited exports. You get access to all of our culling, all of our editing features. Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Guys, make sure you show some love to Jonathan for hanging out with us today and just keeping you guys all in line. I apologize for my little cabbage patch there in the back. My hair is a little wild this morning, but we will be back for a November live stream. Make sure you on our YouTube channel, we will create the live stream for that, and then you can hit the notification for that. We'll email you guys to let you know when the next live stream is coming up. And if you have any feedback, be sure to email us at polarnext@gmail.com or next@polarr.co. I believe Jonathan's got all the links there. You can follow us on Instagram, join our Facebook group. We're steadily growing, and it's a great place to be able to share your guys' work. If you want to share your style files, if you just want to give feedback or encounter any bugs, please let us know, and we'll get to you as soon as we can. With that being said, all right, we are finished for today. Thank you again to everyone for hanging out with us, and we will see you all in November. Aloha.